Good morning, Amy. Hi, Bob Guinan. How are you this morning? Good morning, friends. How are you all? Running late a little bit today. Apologize. Trying to get my tech working right. It's we are all working the challenges these days. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Yvette. Good morning, Priscilla. How are you? John, how are you? Looks like you had a great time at the fair. That all looked really sweet. I hope it was as it appeared. So, hey, Donna. Good morning to you. Glad you're here. Morning, everybody. How are you? Planning Christmas stuff. Very nice. There's a few things from here to there, but yeah, sure. Good. It was excellent. Oh, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. The pictures look good. I'm glad that is so. Hope everybody's doing all right this morning. We'll get going here in 1 second. I know I was late. I am apologized. Trying to get things set up doesn't always go as planned. Good morning. A lot of Christmas shoppers. Oh, there you go. Still working on spring cleaning. Me too, Donna. Me too. Yeah. I'm right there with you. So, good morning, Wayne. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Great to see you here this morning. Hope Robin's doing well too. Good morning. Good morning. All right, friends. We'll give it a few more seconds and get on the road. I know I'm running late today, so my apologies. So, hope you are good. All right, all right, all right. Hey, good morning, friends. All right, we're going to get going now. It is the 5th day of October at 11:11-ish. We're a little late today. So good morning, and I am glad on this Tuesday you are with us, and that all things are good with you, that you are continuing to persevere, and that you're a part of this community. That if you're here watching this, whether it's your first time just finding us or whether you have been journeying with us forever, you are a part of the community now. You're a part of this journey of 11 folks that come together to care for each other, to pray for each other, and to walk this journey out. So, good morning. That I hope you are well and good. Donna says, my mom had a generator added to her house. Oh, very nice. That is a piece of security for sure. All right, so we are, and I want to talk a little bit today about this beginning passage that comes out of the first chapter of Mark. And of the Gospels, Mark is the most spare of all the Gospels. Mark is just the fax ma'am depiction of the gospel. It is the Greek in the Gospel of Mark is the simplest Greek. It's not complicated, and it is considered to be the gospel that is written kind of at the lowest possible level. So scholars take that to say that, if something shows up in Mark, it's probably pretty important, or it has, even though it's kind of through the lens of Mark, it still has this bare bones quality to it, that it's probably something that is critical. And so we begin Jesus's ministry. So again, this is the first chapter of Mark. This is the introductory portion of what's going on. And, Jesus is baptized. Jesus is tested. Jesus becomes to announce the good news of metanoia, that we might change the way that we are. And we also come to this time of, and he calls Simon and Andrew, and he begins his healing and ministry right after that. This is all in the first chapter. So it is a rocket run with Jesus in the Gospel of Mark. So good morning, Kristen. So good to see you here. I am so glad you made it today. I'm so glad I made it today. Cecile, great to see you. I hope things are all right and you're doing well. So Jesus is it. So we've got this first chapter of Mark, and this in it, he is healing, and he's healing a lot. Like he's working a ton. That he is from the very beginning of day all the way through into the evening. People are bringing Jesus the sick and the demon possessed, and it says. That evening, after sunset, people brought to Jesus all the sick and the demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door, and Jesus healed many who had various diseases, and he drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. And then it shifts gears. So it goes to the next day. So you can imagine he's up with facing demons, quite literally facing demons all day. Healing people. And then it turns to this. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him, and they found him, and they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." And then he replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the villages nearby, so I can preach there also. And that is why I have come." And he traveled through Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. I want us to focus in this moment on what Jesus does in the morning. You see, there's things about God that we discover that kind of implicit in Scripture. We talk about this that I get from Len Sweet about what is God's favorite time of day. Well, in the Garden of Eden story, God is walking through the garden in the cool of the day. So in this early morning hours, before the sun possibly has come up, or right around dawn, that walking in the cool of the day, that it was his favorite time to walk in the garden. Here is Jesus waking up before light. Now, again, this isn't, you can't set Alexa to wake you up. You don't have your iPhone next to your bed to say, "Oh, we need to wake up at 5:30. That Jesus wakes up in this moment before the dawn and goes off to pray. Goes off to spend time in solitary and to pray and rejuvenate himself. I want us to consider your morning. So it's 11, whatever it is, 11:25 right now, and I want you to consider, what are those first 5 tasks that you do when you wake? This comes from a guy by the name of Tim Ferriss. He talks about this a bunch. But there's an old phrase that we all know that is, win the morning and win the day. That how we start the day, how we awaken, how we open our eyes, boop, and move into our day actually has super implications for the rest of the day. So I want you to consider this, and if we look at it in Christ, we see this. We see that even in his ministry, even God among us shows up, and so does what? Very early in the morning, when it was dark, Jesus got up, he left the house, and he went to a solitary place where he prayed. Now, the great preacher, probably one of the greatest in American history anyway, Jonathan Edwards, always used to, he would rise at 5:30 in the morning in the summertime, or at 5:30 in the morning in the wintertime rather, and 5 o'clock in the morning in summertime, and he would pray for 2 hours. That was his ritual every morning. And his claim was that everything that he ever wrote that was worth reading, everything that he ever did that was worth doing, actually took its origin in those 2 hours of prayer in the morning. That all the things came out of that. Carl Jung, in his journeying, the great psychologist, has this time of separation from the world, where he steps away for a few years. And he records all of this, both in visions and dreams and all the stuff, in what it was called the Red Book. I have a copy of it up in my office, because it has been such a storied and scary, but really scary text. I mean, it's only recently was released to be by his family. And it is filled with visions and all sorts of other things, but Jung would say the same thing. He would say everything good that I ever did in the course of my career, everything that I ever presented in the course of my career, that would come for the next 40 or 50 years, would come out of this time of isolation and solitude that he would have spent in the Red Book, that he would have spent away from humanity, that he would have spent away. So on the big level and on the small level, there are these ways in which the withdrawing from our day, or the how we start a thing, because this was really, for Jung, it was the start of his work and the start of his journey. And for us, when we open our eyes and how we start our journey, Jesus starts his journey after a long day by spending some time in prayer, by spending his time in that which feeds him and rejuvenates him. He separates himself from the disciples. He separates himself from the work. He separates himself from the crowd. How hard is it these days? And I'm not talking about Sabbath time, where that's a different thing, to simply separate ourselves for a moment, for just a moment, to get some peace away from the cacophony of the world, away from the media, away from the demands that people might have on us, away from even our own worries and our own thoughts and our own concerns and the stuff that grinds on us. What is it that to simply be able to spend some time away from that? And I believe our morning ritual is the single perfect place for that. It is the single place for it, because it's God's favorite time of day. It is the time in which it is rich and powerful. It is I think our part of our chance maybe to participate a little bit into the resurrection of this, I mean, this is one of those things. Jonathan Peugeot, the great symbolist, talks a lot about this, about how Christianity is just so true. It's so true. It's so true that we participate in a tiny resurrection every day. Every night we go to bed, we lay our head on the pillow, and we lose consciousness. We die. And then we wake in the morning, resurrected anew to go about our day. It's such a boring, boilerplate, inherently baked into the structure part of our life that we give it almost no mind, this notion. And yet, what is it? What is it a pattern of? What does that pattern look like? It looks like dying to the old day. It looks like going into the tomb and being quiet for a while. And it looks like being awakening in the morning with our eyes that would rise to come into a new day. It looks a lot like a resurrection. And it's not to say that's what it is. It's to say that's the pattern of what it is. And that pattern, and so when we talk about these holy things, what we're talking about are these patterns that are playing themselves out in our life. And there's no more powerful pattern than how we open and win our day, how we begin our day. So I want you to think about that. We got up this morning and usually I make coffee, or we have coffee set on the timer, or somebody makes coffee. This morning, nobody made coffee. And, we all kind of looked around, Chris and I looked at each other, we're like, finally one of us we kind of broke down and both stopped what we were doing and we made coffee together, because it was just that important, because coffee is that good. And not that coffee is that good. I'm not talking about, well, it kind of is, but not that coffee is that good. But the thing is the pattern of the coffee in the course of our morning, and the importance of what it did there, not in delivery mechanism of caffeine, but in the way that it punctuates our morning and gives it structure. Without that, it was a jangly morning, and it turns out I'm late this morning, of all things. Now, I'm not saying all that's connected, but that great phrase, win the morning, win the day, I think Jesus understood that. I think God understood that more than anything, because that morning time is God's favorite time, that walking in the garden in the cool of the day. So I invite you to think about the 5 things you do upon waking. Just list them out. Don't judge them. I don't care. I don't care if you think they're awful. I don't think if you're ashamed of yourself because you do these 5 things in the morning. I don't care what reaction you have to them. I want you to just think about the 5 things you do upon waking. What are the 5 things that you do? And just spend a moment with considering that. And then spend a moment considering, are those 5 things that you're doing upon waking and moving into your day, are they serving you? Are they giving you that experience of walking in the garden? Are they giving you that experience of being able to separate yourself from the work and the struggle to move into the next ministry of the next day? Because when the disciples find him, Jesus said, "Okay, let's move out. Let's go to the next village. Let's go to the next place." Be mindful of how you start the day, because I truly believe that phrase is more right than it ever has been. That you win the morning, you win the day. In the 5th Psalm, David records this: "Listen to my words, Lord. Listen to my lament. Hear my cry for help, my King and my God. For you too I pray." So already David's not in a good place, you might notice. Already he's having a bad day. He's struggling. And then he goes on to say this. He says, "In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning, I lay my requests before you and wait expectantly. For you are not a God who is pleased with wickedness. With you, evil people are not welcome." So that there's this way of in the midst of him having a bad day, in the call, he has this call to God that says, "Lord, hear my lament. Hear the things that grieve me. Hear my cry for help." And when does it happen? In the morning. In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning, I lay my requests before you. How is those 5 things you do upon waking, those 5 things that you do upon moving into your day, how are they participating? How are they encouraging? How are they taking away from you bringing your laments before God? And not to say that what you need to do is complain every morning. That's not my point. It is to say, how are the things that are with you, the things that are upon your heart, the things that you would pray about, just as Jesus goes into the wilderness to pray, the things that you would then pray about, the things that you would then bring up that are either in your heart, these feeling states that you just can't get sometimes the feeling states are just slippery and you can't get your hands around them, but they're just kind of running around in there like eels, and then sometimes in your head there are these perseverating thoughts that are just working on you, or maybe it's even in that you're afflicted with something in your body that just won't move. Maybe you wake up with a cramp, whatever it is. But that you hold that reality of where you are, you hold what's going on, and take that space. For Jesus it was to go and pray, but for all of us, what is it that we do as we wake in the morning? Because it's my hope for you that you'd win your day. Someone once, I did some studies on grief and grieving, and one of the recommendations in the midst of grief and grieving for people particularly who are kind of maybe stuck in their grief and maybe struggling with things of grief, is one of the things that they're invited to do is to simply open up a time for it. To simply, just like the Psalm says, bring their laments to God. To say, okay, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to light a candle and I'm going to write down or I'm going to talk out loud about the things that I am grieved. I'm going to go, if I'm grieving a person, I'm going to go look at pictures of that person and I'm going to enter into that sadness. I'm going to enter into that loss. I'm going to walk into it. And maybe there's and maybe even set a timer for the 15 minutes or the half hour or whatever it is. And so you step into it and give it voice, give it place, bring your laments before the Lord, and then say the prayer and blow the candle out and move into your day. No, that's a technique. It's a thing you can do, and I'm not saying that's what we all need to do right now. We're not all grieving. We're not all in that place. But I offer it to you as a way of understanding that there are these that the power of those first 5 things of the day, they can set the tenor for the rest of our day. And that's not to say we're going to carry our griefs to the day. It actually, what we've discovered from people who actually do that kind of a practice when they're sad and when they're hurting, is that it actually allows them to go and live the rest of their day, the next 23 hours and 45 minutes, actually without being overcome by grief, actually without being debilitated by it. Doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean it goes away. That's not a magic pill. But it's this thing that once we decide to give it voice, once we decide to bring our laments before God, it actually allows us the chance to go forward into a new village, just as Jesus did, and declare a new ministry. And just as the Psalm says, keep at bay the evil things. Keep at bay the things that would drag us down. Keep at bay the demons that would surround us. So think about your morning, friends. That's my invitation to you today. It's a little homeworky one, 11 a day, that think about the first 5 things that you do when you wake. And maybe write them down. Make a list. Don't judge them. Don't dress them up. Don't say these are the 5 things I wish I was doing when I woke up. These are the 5 things that I'd like to tell my pastor about when I woke up. These are the 5 things that would make me look good before I woke up. No. Just the 5 things that you do, whatever they are. And again, maybe you don't like them. Maybe you don't care about them. But I would suggest, if you've got those 5 things, maybe there's one of them that you either need to set down or swap out for something else. Just one. Don't change anything else. But one tiny thing. One of the 5 things that you do when you wake in the morning, change one out. That will allow you maybe to bring a little bit more light and love to your life. That will allow you to bring your laments before God, if that is the thing that's going on, and that it will allow you to step into your love and grace and peace that God has for you in this world. And the other, 23 hours of your day, let them flow with grace and peace. To let them be heard, to let them open and walk with God in the cool of the day, in those morning hours when Christ comes to us, unbidden and unfettered, but comes to us to enter into a resurrection of a new day, to come in to be a part of this new journey that is this new day, that comes in without with the new start of what it is for dawn to come. So, friends, my hope for you is that you'll look at your pattern. You'll look at your life. You'll look at those 5 things that you do in the morning. And like Jesus, you might claim that space. You might claim those moments. That no matter how much teaching you have to do in the synagogue, or how much healing of demons that you have to do, how much calling of other people that you have coming up on your calendar, that in the midst of it, you might, no matter how much everyone is looking for you. Remember, those are the words of the disciples. Everyone is looking for you. Can you imagine having a whole village of people that are just out there looking for you because they want something from you, because you are the source and the power. You're the one who can solve all the problems. And what does he do? But he leaves the house, goes off to a solitary place, and he prays. That was the solution for Jesus, and the first 5 things of his waking. One of them was that. And so I invite you to look at your 5 things of what they are when you wake up, and to see what it is that might, just see what they are to begin with, and then see what might raise, might illumine, might bring more life and light to let you set off for new places and new villages that need your presence. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. That is our 11:11. Sorry for being late. I have great apologies to you. But it's my hope that you will journey in this. We'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11. Again, remember, tomorrow will be a little shorter, a little more direct, a little more of a heartfelt thought. And also a reminder here at First Congregational Church, we are have this afternoon our monthly soup kitchen, monthly opportunity to cook at the branch dinner at First Baptist Church. So we are going to be by about 2:30. We'll be downstairs preparing a meal for those in our community. And if you'd like to take part of that, just stop on by, and somebody will put you to work. So, all right, friends, peace and grace to you on this day. We'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11. Peace and grace.